Alrighty, so UFC Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy just took place, and I'm here to give my picks and predictions for UFC 314. Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes. Now, I've been excited for this fight ever since I heard it was announced. I know it's not really what we were expecting, the Ilya Topuria Volkanovski rematch, or yeah, the rematch, that's kind of what was to be expected, and then Ilya just somehow can't make weight at featherweight, even though he's only 5'8", brother. Yeah, you can't make featherweight, you look scrawnier than Dustin Poirier, you look, like Oliveira made featherweight somehow, and Ilya's not able to make, anyways, maybe a topic for a different day, but, yeah, so now we have a new featherweight king about to be crowned because of Ilya vacating the belt, pussy, but I'm excited for this card. This card better fucking deliver. I'm tired of these dog shit cards. If you watched the last event, Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy, I gave my picks and predictions as well as the card breakdown, and we stay positive. I've only been negative on 2 cards this week, so if this year, sorry. Well, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but yeah, I've only been negative on picks for 2 cards of this whole year. I do picks and predictions and breakdowns of every single fight card that happens in the UFC, as I am a UFC fan. So, if you're looking for UFC content, picks and predictions, discussions, whatever the fuck you want, feel free to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Anyways, just saying, building my empire. Might as well get a part of it now, if you know what I mean. But anyways, with that being said, right, let's get into the breakdown here. Fuck. God damn it. Now we got women. We gotta fucking predict. So, if you're new around here, some people use the pick doctor. Shout out to We Want Pick. Some people use logic and reasoning and research, like people like the MMA Guru, Bedtime MMA sometimes, and, the other predictors, them, like, I can't really say any others because I don't really watch any of the other ones. Like Artem MMA, the true pick goat. If you know, you know. Anyways, I use my own personal methods, and that method is for picking women's fight. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, you see that? Oh, that shine from my childhood. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Heads is the lady on the left. Tails is the lady on the right. Let's see what we get. Let's do a better flip than that. How do you even... Alright! Well, that went fucking flying. Jesus Christ. Let me just get my coin here. Oh, alright. So, who is it? Nora Cornole, Haley Cowan. Alright, let's see what we get, boys. Looking like a tails. Alright, we're going with Haley Cowan. She's, she's younger, guys. She's... Anyways, moving on. 29-28 decision. What can I say? Haley Cowan's just gonna look like a true women's fighter out there. Anyways, moving on to real fighters. Tresean Gore versus, if you're wondering, by the way, the coin so far. I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe it's 8-3 and its last, or sorry, it's 5-3 and its last 8, I believe. Somewhere around those numbers might be a little skewed. But yeah, the coin is technically positive as far as I've been tracking it. So, just a little warning if you're putting money on these fights, you degenerate gamblers. I respect it. Alright? Anyways, Tresean Gore versus Marco Tulio. Now, I know Tresean Gore has had his problems. His reach advantage is not here, huh? This is middleweight. Yeah. Dog shit fucking division. Okay, he submitted Turkali. Turkali sucks and shouldn't ever touch combat sports again. Right, he was gonna fight Bo Nickel and then he pulled out, and then fucking Valward Burn was the victim. Yeah, I remember that. Not an active dude, really. In 2 years, you've only fought 1 opponent? Don't like that. I really don't like that. Mauricio Tulio. KO'd Eeyore Pateria. That's not a bad win, to be fair. But Eeyore definitely is a chinny boy. Fellow Ginger. As we all know, Gingers get buffed in all their strength stats. Strength stat is fortunately maxed out. The great Steamroller Frivola, is privy to that. But we have to get nerfs, so unfortunately, our chins, our HP bar is cut by a significant amount. Some say 90%, some say 50%. So unfortunately, Eeyore Pateri is just a victim of that. Now, this is an interesting fight. I think I might actually go Tresean Gore. Because, like, Tulio, yeah, he finished Eeyore Pateri. But middleweights are shit. And I don't know, it's just something about a feeling, guys. I just think Tresean Gore, similar age, exact same heights, slight reach advantage. I don't know, this fight is so hard to predict. Fuck. I'm gonna go with, but Tresean Gore is probably like, if you're wondering, I don't do fucking, I don't look up odds and shit. I don't look at any predictions or anything beforehand. For these fights, this is basically purely off what I've seen, what I can remember. I just don't remember much from Tulio. Like, yeah, the KO looked nice, but I don't know. I'm going to go with a flying fluke Tresean Gore here. I don't know. Something about it just like, he only fights once a year. Starting to get active again. Maybe he'll make a run. This might be a time we get, the African-American Tyler 1 shaped head, into the big scene in middleweight. Middleweights are shit at the end of the day. This is going to be a coin flip. Either Tulio is probably going to get a first-round finish. I believe Tresean Gore is actually a grappler. I'm pretty sure he's a grappler. So we might see him get wobbled or, like, knocked down. And then it'll be like he's on the ground situation. And then Tulio, like, does some low IQ moves on the ground. And then Tresean Gore gets, like, top position. I'm going to go with Tresean Gore. Fuck it. Who cares? It's middleweights at the end of the day. It's a coin flip. These guys are bums. Moving on. Sumiderji versus Mitch Raposo. This guy fought someone, if I'm not mistaken, already in the UFC, right? Andre Lima, right. Wasn't that close. Huh. Now, flyweights are always hard, because flyweights are always really good, or chinny as fuck. And a lot of flukes can happen. But Sumiderji is pretty good. He's a pretty gritty flyweight, and I like to see that. I think he's coming off, 3 losses, right? Something like that. Yeah, Charles Johnson, which is a good loss, to be fair. He knocked out the great Joshua Van. The Tim Elliott submission kind of looks weak. Not really a big fan of that, but, it's 2 years ago, guys. We can put it behind us. The Matt Chanel one. Not as defensible. Damn, but he's been around for a while, huh? Wow. He beat a 4-4 opponent in 2021. Okay, knocked out Malcolm X Gordon, great Canadian fighter. Why can't my country have fucking good fighters, man? Oh, why is our best fucking fighter Mike Malott? Anyways, I do kind of want to go Sumiderji. Like, he's battle-tested at the end of the day, right? This Mitch Raposo guy. Like, he lost to Lima, but I feel like Lima's actually not that good, Like, I know flyweights are all good. Oh, man, that reach advantage. Holy shit. Yo, height advantage, too. Man, Sumiderji is really good. And I can trust him not to really struggle in the grappling. I know he's struggled against Tim Elliott, which, I think Tim Elliott's a little underrated these days. Tim Elliott, definitely a ranked flyweight, okay? I don't think this Mitch Raposo guy is going to be a ranked flyweight. Like, I think Tim Elliott would give Andre Lima, like, a tough outing, The Schnell one is pretty rough. I'm going to go Sumiderji, 29-28 split decision. This might be a rough card for me, boys, but, yeah, I don't know. I'm just trusting the more battle-tested. Like, he's young, and he's been around for a while. I don't think these bright lights are going to be a problem. He's got a heavy reach advantage, and if I remember correctly, Tim Elliott actually doesn't... Tim Elliott does have a pretty good reach as well. This Mitch Raposo guy, like, having 160 centimeters of reach for a male flyweight is, like... ugh, I don't like that. You know, I really don't like that. Shorter dude. He is younger, to be fair, but he's not as battle tested. This is his first card. Is this his first main card? What was the Andre Lima fight at? Oh, it was at 302. Okay, never mind then. Huh. Very interesting. And that was a year ago. Jesus. What was 302? 30... Was that... That wasn't O'Malley, right? O'Malley was 303? Was 302 Pereira? Ah, I can't fucking remember. Regardless. I'm gonna assume Aderji, you know? I think he's pretty good. I think his job's on the line. And, hey, if there's a theme this year, the theme is the people about to get cut are getting that one win that keeps him in. Especially at flyweight. We've seen the Ode Osborns, you know? We've seen the fucking Kevin Borjases, you know? And I'm 1-1 in terms of picking them. I'm tired of picking against these flyweights who are about to get fucking cut from the UFC off a 3-4 fight losing streak. You know, so I'm trusting Sumaderji to get it done. I think he's probably going to get it done by decision, probably a 29-28. If he's not finishing Matt Chanel, I know it was like 4 years ago. I'd experienced shit like that. If he's not finishing Matt Chanel on the feet, I don't think he's going to finish a young buck like Mitch Raposo. But I could see Mitch Raposo getting a little too big for his britches. You know, I think after round 1, if Sumaderji's keeping it fairly competitive and it's not like a clear Mitch Raposo round, I think Mitch Raposo could break, you know, with the Andre Lima situation. You know, bright lights. This is your first time, the second time being there, but the first time, you know, it's not really going to go your way like it didn't go the first time. I know Andre Lima's a bit of a prospect, but, you know, if Mitch Raposo comes in here thinking he can just, like, mollywop Sumaderji, I think he's in for a tough outing. Anyways, moving on. Cedric Dumas. Now, this is going to be, I'm going to be honest, guys. I don't gamble. I don't bet on any of these fights. This is purely based on passion. Now, I do gamble sometimes, you know. But I make it well known when I do gamble. There's certain reasons why I don't gamble. You know, I'm positive on picks. I might... man. This might be a rough card. But I'm going Cedric Dumas. I know. Probably not a popular opinion. I don't look at odds. I'm going to guess Dumas has to be a fucking big underdog here. To be fair, though, McCall has lost 3 in a row. What was it? Kevin Holland. Shara Bullet. Who's the other one? Kevin Holland, Shara Bullet. There was one other. No way, it was Michelle Pereira. Are those his 3 losses? Shara, Kevin... Oh my god, I'm the fucking goat at this shit. Oh my god. Holy shit, injected into my veins. Oh my god, yo, that hit like crack when I got all 3. Holy shit. Anyways. So I'm a little proud of that. You know, Kyle Brahali, bro, his losses are really fucking good. You know, his wins are really good, to be fair. I like McCall. I'll probably be rooting for McCall. I recognize McCall could get this done via finish, but I really do think Cedric Dumas is actually not that bad. I know a lot of people shit on Cedric, and there was some dumb beef. There was some dude calling out fighters. Fuck, I can't remember his name. Who did the breakdown? There was a guy I was watching. Was it the... I don't think it was the Sewer King. That guy's the GOAT, though, at exposing Logan Paul. Who was it? There was somebody who was breaking down, like, a dumb fuck, calling out UFC fighters. He was talking to, I think, a commentary person, I want to say. And he's like, yeah, bro, I could beat up some of these guys. And I want to say it was, like, Paul Felder, maybe? Paul Felder's friend, maybe? I can't remember. Ah, fuck. I don't know. It was some dumbass that was saying he could beat UFC fighters. I think he's... I'm going to say either a basketball player or... Nah, probably not. I think he was maybe like a football player. I can't fucking remember, man. But yeah, there's some guy like talking shit. And then Cedric was basically like 1v1 me, bro. I don't think that guy ever 1v1 Cedric. Cedric is like a... He doesn't have great striking technique in terms of like clean... He's like a worse Randy Brown, I guess I'd put it. Like... He doesn't have the cleanest boxing, but he's got okay range management, which I think is really good. And he's been robbed already a few times, I think. Or not robbed. Well, one of them was robbed. Dennis Tululin, I mean, Dennis sucks. But the Ruzeboa fight, that was a blatant robbery. That was a... I know it's going to say round 1 KO. No one's going to fucking remember it because, like, Cedric didn't throw back and all that other shit. But Ruzeboa did eye poke finish him. It was literally a 1-2 eye poke. Literally Chris Weidman style. They showed it on the big screen, and everyone started booing immediately after they announced the decision of the KO. And the commentary was just, you know, hands and knees fucking glazing the shit out of Ruzeboev over an absolute dog shit performance in terms of a win. But, like, Cedric, you know, Abu Zaitar, it's not like a great win, but he's beating the guys he's supposed to beat. Kind of a close fight, wow. It's not as close as I remember. But, you know, the Cody Bumdidge fight. I know Cody Bumdidge is a bum. You know, arguably had the best success against fucking Bo Nickel guys. Alright? We're talking elite level grappling. Alright? Who's the other guy? Cancelled. Josh Fremd. Oh, yeah, he lost to Josh Fremd. Ew. You know, I do think... he's young, you know, McCall's young, though, to be fair, you know, 30. Man, the problem with McCall, though, is that I think he just has bad weight cuts. I think Cedric is, like, a natural middleweight. Middleweights are shit, but I think, like, he can be something. You know, the problem with McCall, is that McCall, I think, is just too frail. I know he's, like, former light heavyweight, but the problem is... he is very, like, frail to the body. You know, Michelle... I know Michelle Pereira hits hard, but there's always, like, circumstances around McCall's performances, and I think this might be one of them, where something bad's gonna happen, and, like, Cedric is gonna get, like, a good position, you know, like, a good scramble. Like, Cedric's no slouch on bottom either, you know? He'll work. He'll definitely work for his money. I don't think McCall is going to cheat, even though it'd be justified, because he's been getting dicked around by the UFC for a while, you know? He's been getting every hard matchup, but I don't know. I can see McCall breaking, and especially because this is like, I just mentioned it too, you know? Like, the contract guys, like, this is his job. He was crashing out in his last fight. It literally got announced, and he's like, oh, I'm probably gonna get cut. I don't like that, you know? And if I get cut, you know, fuck this. I don't think he said, like, fuck this company or whatever. He said he was gonna go to some other promotion or whatever, but I think McCall's gonna go out swinging, and he could definitely finish Cedric. I'm not gonna sit here and say Cedric can't lose this fight. I'm gonna be rooting for McCall. I do hope he wins. I just think Cedric is, like, underrated, you know? I think his entries aren't gonna be that bad. You know, I think Cedric has really been working on a lot of techniques. What gym does he train at? You know, these are the questions that I don't look into before making my video. You know, head coach Adam Hicks. Okay. The Reaper's a crazy nickname, Cedric. I don't know if we're calling, you know, I don't know about that. Kickboxing, you know. Where the fuck does it say his gym, or am I tripping? Maybe I look past it. I don't know. Regardless, I'm not going to focus too much on this. It is just like unranked middleweights at the end of the day. I'm going Cedric Dumas. I might be doing bad on picks this card, but I'm going to go with Cedric Dumas. I think he is, like, steadily improving, and his last loss was just he got eye poked finished. Like, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? And then since that submission loss, he's been looking better on the ground. You know, we see training footage. I know it's just training footage. It's not like actual, you know, getting in there. But it looks like he's improving his ground game. It looks like he's been doing a little bit better, like, everywhere. You know, striking is getting a little bit better every time we see him. I'm going with Cedric. You know, I just think McCall is, like, he's ready to crash out. And I think if things start not going his way, we're going to see moments, maybe in the third, especially in the third, if Cedric is, like, 1-1 going into the third. If Cedric does go in with, like, a hold him down game plan, which isn't a bad game plan to have for Cedric, I do think You know, and even then, like, McCall is, like, weak to the body. Like, he's a strong dude for his little... I want to say he's Polish? Oh! Buddy, I'm getting fucking good at my... I'm getting fucking good at this sport. Anyways. Yeah, he is Polish. Legendary Polish power, you know. Yeah, Poland also notoriously known for getting robbed in combat sports. It is what it is. Yeah, I'm going with Cedric, you know. There might be a robbery or something going in here. I think this fight's going to look close, but I do think McCall is very prone to a crash out, looking like he's breaking in the third, getting held against the fence, and we just see him look at the clock, look at his corner, and be like, you know, if he's held against the fence too much. You know, he's a strong striker, but other than his strong striking, it's not like this guy's elite. You know, I know he's been in there with killers, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're also a killer, if you know what I mean. You know, and I don't think Cedric's a killer. I just think Cedric is going to be a consistent, like, middleweight test, if you know what I mean. And I just don't think McCall's, like, got that fight in him anymore. You know, I could be wrong. Maybe McCall goes in, gets a knockout. I'm rooting for it. But yeah, I'm going Cedric Dumas. 29-28 decision. Maybe a split. Moving on. Preliminary guard. Alright. Darren Elkins versus Julian Arosa. I'm going with Julian Arosa only because Darren Elkins has been wearing a lot of damage. He's 40. I don't think he's going to get finished. He could. He's been around for a while. Holy shit. Oh my god, bro. This guy's been around for fucking ever. But yeah, I'm going with Julian Arosa. He's been looking good on the ground, and I don't think he's going to submit a guy like Darren Elkins. I think Darren Elkins is... He does make bad decisions, man. Like, this Daniel Pineda fight was really close at moments. I know Daniel Pineda is, like, really good at gillies, but it was very close in moments. I think Julian Arosa wouldn't pull gilly, but I can see Darren Elkins shooting a bad takedown, getting gillied, you know? I could see Darren Elkins being on top, not doing enough, getting his face opened up while Arosa's on bottom, you know? There's a lot of you know, for Darren Elkins here. So I'm going with Julian Arosa. I think, like, he's probably got to be a massive favorite if I had to guess. Julian Arosa is, like, pretty good, even though he's a little older. He's got that submission win over... Who did he... He's got good names on his resume recently, right? Yeah, Christian Rodriguez, which is pretty good, even though C-Rut's coming off a loss, you know? Ricardo Ramos, who sucks ass. You know, he got KO'd by Fernando Padilla. It happens. That's the guy who I think lost to... Is that the guy who lost to Sean Woodson? I'm pretty sure. Could be misremembering that, but I think he just lost to Sean Woodson, got chinned. You know, Steve Peterson is what it is. That would, you know... Arosa is, like, prone to getting chinned, but a 40-year-old Darren Elkins, I don't think it's chinning Arosa. You know, Darren Elkins is almost like a worse Josh Emmett, and we just saw how Josh Emmett performed, you know? And I mean the Josh Emmett we saw, a worse version of that. You know, he'll shoot takedowns even if he's winning the striking. He's not that dangerous on the feet anymore. He's very telegraphed. It's very easy to see him coming. Yeah, so I'm going with Julian Arosa. I'm going to go by Dr. Stoppage going into the third round. Because I think Darren Elkins just, he does wear damage very poorly. You know, like... And even in his last fight, he was bloodied as fuck. I think his eye was almost, like, completely swollen. Don't like that, you know? Don't like that. So, I'm gonna go with Julian Arosa. I respect Darren Elkins. He is tough as shit. And he does work, man. He does work for a 40-year-old. So, I respect it, but I'm going with Arosa. Yeah, 29-28 or Dr. Stoppage in the third round. After a brutal round one. And then round two, Julian Arosa kind of takes the back seat. And we see a sort of situation. Like, this is going to be like... I think this will look a lot like Hanato versus Benoit Saint Denis. But like a Wish version. You know, a Timu version, if you will. You know? Even though they're kind of like different in terms of ethnicity and everything like that. I think it's going to look a lot like that. In terms of, you know, Benoit's going to make one mistake. Get on bottom. And then be fucking rained on by some elbows or some finishing moves while also, you know, the grappler is looking for a submission while also, like, you know, trying to finish the fight. Moving on to Jim Miller versus Chase Hooper. I respect the fuck out of Jim Miller. I'm having flashbacks right now because I'm pretty sure I saw the odds for this fight. This is one I'll be fully transparent. I saw Jim Miller at like plus 500. That is the disrespect. All right, that's fucking insane. I get it. Chase Hooper's been looking good, but like, man, those odds are fucking disrespectful as shit. Jesus Christ. I know he just lost to Bobby Green and a stellar performance. Fight of the year contender, if you ask me, for last year. But, Jim Miller's tough as shit, you know? Like, I know Chase Hooper is coming off, is it the win over... Fuck, what's his name? I don't want to get it wrong. He just fought recently. What's his name? I have him in my head and everything. I can't remember his name. He's like, I know his record. It's gonna be 8-5 or 8-6 because he's coming off a loss. Oh, he submitted Clay Guida. Yeah, that was a good win. And they also had a grappling match. That was just a Vlashev Borshev, you know, or Borshev. Yeah, 8-5, 8-5-1. I was actually fucking spot on with my prediction there. Yeah, great submission win, even though he didn't tap. So I don't know why I'm saying a great submission win. I'm pretty sure Borshev didn't tap. And then Clay Guida, that was a stellar performance. But Jim Miller is a better Clay Guida. I definitely say that. He's got this similar energy in terms of he'll bring it, and he's fast and explosive for... How old is he now? 45? No shot, he's 45, right? 41. Okay, I thought he was like 44 going on 45 or some shit. But yeah, Chase Hooper, I think, is just like... He's trying to actually get somewhere, you know? Where Jim Miller, I think, is comfortable where he is, you know? Jim Miller, absolute dog. I do think the odds are very disrespectful if they're even close to plus 500. Anything above plus 500, I might just throw a tenner at just for fun, you know? Because, like, I could see Jim Miller, if Chase Hooper struggles with the takedowns, which I know he's been looking really good recently, but, and Jim Miller is like an old man, he doesn't really have that testosterone level anymore, so he's not really going to be able to shuck off takedowns from a natural lightweight like Chase Hooper. But I don't think, like, I just don't think that Chase Hooper is going to be able to finish Jim Miller. And if he's not finishing Jim Miller, this could get rocky on the scorecards, you know? But, man, recently they've really not been respecting the old dogs, you know? And that's kind of my worry here, so maybe I kind of get where the odds are leaning to. But it's just like, man, Jim Miller is good. You know, the Gabriel Benitez, I want to say. Gabriel Benitez performance. The Damon Jackson one was fucking sick. I called this one perfectly, by the way. Motherfuckers up and down about Jim Miller. I think he was an underdog too. I think maybe I even put money on that fight. Everyone was talking shit about Jim Miller, and Damon Jackson is gonna fucking run through this guy and submit him or whatever. Jim Miller fucking submits his ass. Called that shit perfectly. You know, Jim Miller. Yeah, it was Gabriel Benitez that I was thinking of. If you watch the Gabriel Benitez fight, he got a submission. They were swinging bombs. Gabriel Benitez isn't like a fucking crazy dude, but there's shots that were landing on Jim Miller that I was just like, how the fuck is this guy not out? You know? The leg kicks back and forth. The fact that Jim Miller was even keeping it competitive on the feet with a fast, explosive guy with Benitez was crazy. And I know Benitez isn't that good, but I'm just saying, like, that performance, he looked very good. Like, it was very much looking like Jim Miller was about to get knocked out, you know, in terms of how dangerous Benitez was looking. You know, some shit fighters will have those performances. But, yeah, Jim Miller fought through it all, got that submission. Bobby Green whooped his ass, to be fair. Bobby Green is one of the best strikers. Okay, maybe that's not true anymore. I gotta stop coping with Bobby Green, man. I love Bobby Green, man. I love watching him fight. I heard he's even going back to his OG name instead of doing King because he's like 0-3 since changing his name to King. Thank fuck no one wants to call you King. Brother, I'm just being honest. I love your fight style. I love your ego in there. I love the nickname King. Don't make it your legal name, dumbass. Anyways, no one's gonna call you king. Come on, brother. You know, that's like naming your son Prince. You know, like, I know as a world we're getting more soy. Let's not get that soy, okay? But yeah, Jim fucking Miller is still good. I think he's gonna be a live dog. Honestly, I don't think Jim Miller... I don't think he's gonna get a sub, but I could see like a breaking Chase Hooper if Chase Hooper doesn't get his way. Now, I know Chase Hooper's been looking good, but it is, you know, Chase Hooper's still young. He's still inexperienced with a lot of these old guys, and this is, at the end of the day, like, full experience versus no experience here, you know, in terms of top level. So I'm gonna go with Chase Hooper. But I respect Jim Miller in this, like, matchup, you know? I think a lot of people are sleeping on Jim Miller just because those odds are wide, you know? And just because he's old. Like, I get it, he's old, but he is, like, a phenom, you know? He is a phenom. And if he does get a KO, hey, Ginger brothers, stand up, all right? He might be a half-breed, but he's my half-breed, all right? Anyways, moving on. Yan Xiaonan versus Verna Janaroba. Oh, I thought we were done with the women. All right, you know the rules. Heads on the left, tails on the right. Where the fuck did the coin go? Alrighty. Oh, this is not good. Oh, shit. Heads on the left, tails on the right. We got tails. I think I'm just gonna fucking... This is... The coin might have betrayed me. We're going with Verna Janaroba, guys. You know, what can we say? You know, she's very perceptive, this woman. You know, she's very, very perceptive if you see her in her interviews. You know, she sees all. You know, nothing gets by her. All right, so she's not getting caught in this matchup, let me tell you. I have no idea how Yan Xiaonan didn't tap to Zhang Wei Li. Yes, I did actually watch a women's fight. Believe it or not, you know, I watch it so you don't ever have to. But Yan, she kept it competitive, but it was also like Zhang also, like, you know, didn't have a great performance. Who did she last beat? Was it Rose? No, it was Tabitha Ricci. That's who it was. Who just fought Rose? I don't remember. Don't care. Don't give a fuck. Yan Xiaonan. The coin picked Verna Janaroba. It is what it is. You know, it is what it is at the end of the day. Yeah, Verna Janaroba, 29-28 split decision, I guess. Does she have a reach advantage? She's got a reach advantage, boys. Hey, we're cooking. We're cooking. Anyways, moving on. Dan Ige, Sean Woodson. Now, I've had my disagreements with Dan Ige and his performances. Not finishing Lerone Murphy, are we? Are we, brother? You know, what happened to the aura of popping out another kid and just being able to lay someone out flat like Andre Philly? You know, getting laid on by Bryce Mitchell, are we? A little interesting, but I do. This is almost like. This is like if you had an alternate universe with Josh Emmett, Lerone Murphy, and then you sort of race swap them in a way. If you catch my drift, you know, I know they don't reflect their respective ethnicity 1-to-1, but Dan Ige, best shot at beating Sean Woodson is going to be landing those combos. I don't think he's going to get takedowns on Sean Woodson. Sean Woodson is a genetic freak. How tall is he? Oh my god, that reach. Bro, this guy's a fuck. He's like, I want to say 6, like 2.5 on stats for featherweight. Absolutely insane, by the way. Does look like a xenomorph, okay? I do think Sean Woodson's getting this done, and I do think he's going to get it done via decision. He's not finishing Dan Ige. Nobody's fucking finishing Dan Ige. It's not possible. But man, is it just like Danny Ige will be live for those 3 rounds. I think it's going to be Sean Woodson 30-27. And I think this fight's going to look kind of like the Lerone Murphy one, only Sean Woodson's going to be pushing a better pace. He's going to be landing way better than Lerone does. Fuck that stupid bum. You know, Lerone the bum Murphy. Fuck that dude, Leon Edwards 2.0. 9 fights in a row. Get him out of the fucking UFC because he's shit. But, yeah, Sean Woodson is technically sound. He's had close fights before. You know, his last fight, he was getting in a little bit risky situation with the guy I was talking about earlier, Fernando Padilla. You know, and Fernando hits fucking hard, you know, and he hit hard early, but Fernando just kind of gassed, and Sean Woodson was just putting on a whooping. You know, the Alex Caceres win is pretty good. Charles Jourdain just couldn't fucking figure out how to deal with the xenomorph. I don't blame him. But yeah, I'm going with Sean Woodson. I think Sean Woodson's actually really good. Is Dan Ige still ranked? Is Sean Woodson's not ranked, right? No way. Dan Ige's 15. Yeah, I think Sean Woodson's 15 in terms of ranked. I think Sean Woodson's pretty good at that. He is a genetic freak, and it is like, boring on the edge of cheating with the way his genetics are built. He is, like, if you haven't seen this guy, let me just, fair warning, you might get nightmares after seeing this. Jesus, just look at that. Just look at this specimen here. Oh, I'm blocking it. Look at that fucking specimen. Oh my god. Oh my god. Look at this fucking specimen. Yeah, look at that torso. Look at that leg. Jesus Christ. Ugh. Oh my god. What a specimen this guy is. Holy shit. Oh my god. But he is good, okay? I believe he comes from a boxing background, so he does have that weird, like... You're going to see a lot of... that in the fight, okay? But there's a method to this guy's madness, okay, guys? So, yeah, I'm going to go Sean Woodson. He could get chinned. I don't think he's going to lose a decision here. Danny Ige could chin him. I just think Sean Woodson... He's kind of seen what Danny Ige can do. Like, Lerone Murphy... He got caught in a big combo. Danny Ige's just not going to land a fucking combo on Sean Woodson. The guy's like literally, what, 2 feet tall? Not 2 feet, okay? But almost like a foot taller than Danny Ige. Like, it is kind of insane, the genetics that Sean Woodson has. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Sean Woodson here. I think he gets it via close decision where there's, like... It's going to be a Dan Ige fight where it's just like, oh man, but, you know, he's doing really good in this round, and you could argue that round because of damage, and, oh, well, Sean Woodson did get cut above the eyebrow, you know? But Sean Woodson's probably going to double Dan Ige strikes in every single round. That's how I see the fight going. Moving on to the main card. Holy fuck, this is a long video, huh? Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes. I have picked Dominic Reyes' wins perfectly every time. People doubt him. Alright, people have doubted him. You know, I picked Dominic Reyes versus... Did I pick him against Dustin Jacoby? I might have not. Okay, I'm going to take that back. I may have not actually picked his fight perfectly. I did pick his last one perfectly. I did say he was going to break Anthony Smith because Anthony Smith fucking sucks. Like, he is fucking horrible. Anyone who picked Anthony Smith in that fight... God rest your gambling soul, because the only way you're ever betting money on Anthony Smith is because he's a big underdog. Or he's going against like a bum like Vitor Bombatrino. But Dominic Reyes is the guy who did beat John Jones. Clearly beat John Jones. 3 rounds, arguably 4. Now, with that being said, he is chinny as fuck. Technique isn't there. He's a little bit sloppy on the feet. Very hesitant on the feet. And because he's hesitant on the feet, I do think Krylov will just lay and pray this guy. Krylov's got a little bit that Nurmagomedov in him. You know, he's a very heavy grappler, I believe, from his last performances. He has been on a layoff because of surgeries, I believe. I want to say knee surgeries. You know, but don't quote me on that. I believe it is actually knee surgeries. You know, and Ryan Span's a fucking bum now, man. Jesus Christ. But yeah, Krylov does the things he needs to do. And I think when you're a fighter that actually has brain cells, you will beat Dominic Reyes, you know? Dominic Reyes is very weak to anyone who has a plan, right? Anthony Smith, no fucking plan. All right, full respect to Dustin Jacoby, but he didn't really have a plan past, like, try to get a knockout. Or I guess that wouldn't be fair to Jacoby. I feel like with the Jacoby thing, it's like, I don't think he's planning on getting wobbled by a guy who's got finished 4 times in a row, like Dominic Reyes. And then when he got wobbled, it was just like, he's kind of fucked. So I respect Dominic Reyes. I like Dominic Reyes. I'm gonna be rooting for Dominic Reyes, right? And I hope he promotes the fact that he did whoop John Jones's ass for 4 rounds out of the 5. People forget, man. They need to stop forgetting, man, because Dominic Reyes did whoop that wife-beating, fucking pregnant woman hitting in the dead of night, fucking drunk driving, gay bar going to John Jones's bum ass, alright? He did whoop it, to be fair. So, I'm gonna go with Krylov. I do think Krylov is gonna have a game plan. He's strikes me as the careful dude who, like, actually is like, okay, he has a weakness here, let me exploit it. Ryan Spann, dumb IQ. But Dominic Reyes is by no means like this killer. I don't think he has finishing potential. Krylov could just have his knee blow out. Honestly, if you want, like, good odds, Krylov knee to blow out is probably your best case. Because it hasn't happened in a while. And somebody's going to have their knee blow out after a fucking surgery. Okay? Somebody's going to have to bite the bullet. Could be Krylov. I don't think so. You know, I don't really see it other than that. But yeah, I'm going with Krylov. Moving on. Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. I will be honest, I wanted to go with Patricio. Don't know shit about this guy. Haven't seen any highlights. But I do know that he's not as not battle tested, I guess is the wrong term. Because I've done a little bit of research. Alright, guys. He's got like 14 title defenses in the previous promotion he was at, or something like that. He was dominant for a long time. I get it. But, you know, 37. He's coming off like, what, 2 or 3 KO losses, I want to say. Chisora. Yeah. That was in 2023. Like, has he beat anyone of note here? Like, the Michael Chandler one, sure, but that was literally 6 years ago. That's where I knew... I was gonna originally pick Patricio just because of the Chandler win. But, man, it is just like he is open for a chinning. Yair is a frail soy boy. If he does get a takedown shot on him, he's not getting back up. He will not fight to try to get up from a takedown. His submission requires you to have 0 IQ. His striking is technical, to be fair. His last performance was just fucking embarrassing, though. It was. And you can't, like, kind of... You know, it's like having a plate of food and you're like, oh my god, there's Yair's striking technique, you know? And it's like a nice steak. You know, it's like, oh my god, there's Yair's finishing highlights. And it's like, you know, the meat and potatoes. And it's like, ooh, it's so good. And then you look over and it's like, but his last performance against Brian Ortega, a pile of shit just on my dinner plate. You know, it's like, ugh, but clean it up. God, that Brian Ortega fight. Jesus. Anyways. I'm going Yair Rodriguez. I'll probably regret it. And I'll be like that fucking meme of, there was a meme floating around, after, if I hear Chihuihuis one more time, and it's, the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse guy putting a fucking bullet in his mouth, or sorry, putting a gun in his mouth. Hopefully I can say that on YouTube without getting, well, I'm not even monetized, so what the fuck am I saying? I don't care. But yeah, Patricio Pitbull, I think, probably going to get finished by Yair. I think Yair's going to do something wild. A lot of these older guys, a lot of these chinnier older guys, their weakness is outside of the peripheral. Yair's strength is outside of the peripheral. If Yair does not get this win, cut him. He is dog shit. We don't need this guy representing Mexicans at the top of the sport. I am not even a Mexican, and I know maybe you're getting triggered, but trust me, okay? I don't want Mike Malott in the top stage, alright? For my country representation, okay? And that motherfucker's a soy boy. I know he's unranked, but let's say he beat Magny in a rematch, and then fucking Jeff Neal, and now he's like a top 5 guy. Maybe he beats Ian Gary after Ian Gary's on a 3-fight losing streak, you know? And like a shitty performance, and then like Mike Malott's at the top. I don't want him there, okay? I really don't. So I can't imagine being a Mexican fan being like, yeah, Rodriguez, yeah, get him out of here, yeah. If he does lose to Patricio. If he does beat Patricio, hey, full support back on Yair, baby. That's what I'm talking about. But, yeah, I'm going with Yair. I think he'll get it done. I think he'll probably get like a kick KO. I'm thinking like a wheel kick. But I just love my wheel kicks. So more realistically, it is probably going to be like a spinning back kick to the body or something. That like really damages Patricio. And Patricio hasn't fought a lot of UFC level comp. Even Chandler's not really UFC level anymore. And was he ever? You know, just being honest, right? You know, he went to wars with guys who didn't really strike, like Justin Gaethje. Anyways, don't want to get too heavy into it. We're getting a little too long here. So, moving on. Bryce Mitchell, the true Lord Savior, versus Jean the Possessed Silva. Now, I'm not buying into this hype of, or this hype killing of Bryce Mitchell. I'll be honest, right? I think he's funny. I think if he does win, the mic is about to go crazy. But I do think Gene Silva is just going to win by KO, maybe even round 1. The problem with Bryce is if he does try to strike with Silva, he will get knocked out. But Bryce won't blast W. Like, Bryce will purposely not try to, like, do the things he needs to do sometimes, you know? And I know that Arkansas wrestling is something you're going to hear a lot of. It's not like this crazy Nurmagomedov style. It is very reversible. I know he's laid on Dan Ige before. I think Gene Silva has at least improved his scrambling and everything like that. You know? Especially because he got taken down by Charles Jourdain. Hey, people forget, man. Charles Jourdain is arguably the best Canadian prospect. Alright, guys? Just saying. But yeah, Gene Silva, I think he's just a highlight reel merchant. He's just going to get another one. You know, you're going to see a fucking another YouTube short edit of Gene Silva knocking out fucking Bryce Mitchell cold. It is what it is. You know, maybe Bryce Mitchell will say he woke up with a sniffle, so the Lord had to strike him down, but it is what it is. You know, I think Gene Silva just gets another highlight. I think Bryce Mitchell should stick around regardless how many times this guy loses. Make him go the Tony Ferguson path if he needs to. He's a personality, and that sells, you know? But yeah, this is Gene Silva's time to really get the edits pumping up on the main stage. Fighting Nerd's name up there. I don't think Gene Silva is going to be the guy to, like... But he did take Wes Watson a while until he finished Wes Watson. Wes Watson? Weston Wilson. Who the fuck? Oh, Wes Watson's that... little... Okay, oh, I'm not going to get into that. I'll leave that to the John Bravos. The real professionals breaking down that situation. If you don't know what I'm referring to, hey, just look up John Bravo films. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. It is a can of worms, though. Anyways, Gene Silva, highlight reel KO. Honestly, it might just be an overhand right that puts down Bryce. Bryce is, like... Listen, I was buying into the hype, but Bryce is, like, chinnable. Very chinnable. You know, and we just saw fucking Pat Sabatini lay on Jourdain. Was that his name? No, Joe Anderson Brito, sorry. Yeah, we just saw Pat Sabatini do that. That could be this fight. I don't think it is. I think Gene Silva's aura surpasses that of Joe Anderson Brito. So yeah, I'm going with Gene Silva by highlight reel KO. Maybe even just an overhand right in round 1. Moving on to Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. I only recently found out that this fight is 5 rounds. That does not change my opinion on this fight. I'm going Paddy the Baddy lad by a 5-round decision. Now, I do understand why the odds are so close, and I get why. And I do think the odds are very kind of where I would put them. Paddy should win this. Chandler sucks. He will just leave himself open on the feet to get chinned. Paddy, I don't think, has the power to put out Chandler. He will also just explosively blast W, pick up you for no fucking reason, other than trying to flex. But it seems like he doesn't respect Paddy's grappling at all. And don't get me wrong, Patty sucks on the feet. He did lose to Jared Gordon. I will not let that go. He did lose that fight to Jared Gordon. I don't give a fuck if I get an interview with Patty the Pimlet, and for some reason I start making excuses. Oh, but his foot was broken. Oh, his foot broke in the first round, guys. Oh, so you can clearly see why it was such a close fight. MMA guru, come on, brother. Stand on your fucking ideals, okay? Jesus Christ. 1 minute it's, oh yeah, Jared Gordon won a 30-27. Next minute it's like, well, there's an argument. You know, his foot was broken, guys. Come on, MMA guru, what are we doing? Stop slacking, alright? Number 1 MMA content creator. Fuck, man. Disappointing seeing this fucking, I don't even know what to call it. I don't know political terms or whatever. But, yeah, it's disappointing to see this fucking, how do you even, like, describe this shit? This pandering towards a Patty Pimlet audience, alright? Tired of this shit, guru, alright? Clean it up, brother. Anyways. Yeah, I do think Patty Pimlet's gonna win, though. Chandler does suck. Like, I mean, he doesn't have finishing potential on the ground. He will not finish Patty Pimlet on the ground. Scousers don't get knocked out, lad. Even though Darren gets knocked out. But I don't think Chandler's going to be able to chin Patty Pimlet. If anything, Patty Pimlet could chin Chandler. Because Chandler is, before I look, 39? 38 years old. I'm going Patty Pimlet. I think it's going to be a 3-2 decision. So like a 48-47. I think they'll be clear, though. And it'll be RU 4-1 for Patty. Patty could just get the back and do Oliveira things on the back and just sit there on the back, threatening submissions the whole time, landing shots. I do think Patty's going to be more busy on the ground than Oliveira was. And I think Chandler does, like, Chandler will just accept being on bottom. You know, he will accept people just grab, like, I don't think Chandler's getting subbed or knocked out purely because Chandler, like, Patty doesn't have a lot of steam, we can be honest, but I don't think Chandler is, like, he's not willing to risk it while someone actually has his back. And people are going to be like, oh, but he tried to slam Oliveira. Ugh. That was going to do fucking nothing. Like, the bro just stood up. He had nothing left to give. And he just fucking slammed. That was it. Some people consider that to be a sick moment. I consider it to be like, man, you shouldn't have been there in the first place, dumb fuck, if you didn't want to lose arguably, that was almost 5 rounds. It was like 4 rounds, you know? 4 rounds to Oliveira. But yeah, I'm going with Patty the Batty. I think Patty the Batty's just gonna wear on Michael Chandler this whole time. Patty's a big dude for lightweight. What's the height looking like, actually? Reach advantage and height advantage, yeah. Yeah. I don't think Patty's gonna get a KO or a submission. I just think he's gonna lay, threaten submission, be active on the ground. This isn't at elevation. I'm not worried about Patty's cardio. I am worried that Patty could just get, like, winged overhand right. But it's a 38-year-old Chandler, man. When are we going to start being like, Chandler just doesn't have KO power? You know? Like, Lerone Murphy has snap, right? Those body kicks he was landing on Josh Emmett the other night, buddy, those fucking body kicks were nasty. But it doesn't matter because he's not strong enough to finish his opponent. That's who Chandler is now, you know? 38. He doesn't have the strength in him to finish an opponent anymore. So I don't think he beats Patty Pimlet by KO. I've had a friend of mine who said it's like Michael Chandler round 1 or bust. I just think it's Michael Chandler by robbery decision or bust. You know, I just don't see how Chandler can fucking beat Patty. Patty does, like, have openings on the feet. I don't think Patty's gonna fucking, like, there is a world where Patty Pimlet is getting lit up on the feet, pulls guard, lays on bottom, and can't really get anything going on Chandler. And Chandler's just, like, outlanding him from top position for 3 of the 5 rounds. I just don't see that happening. You know, I don't think it's realistic enough. It's possible. I can see it. But, you know, I'd think it'd be more realistic for Patty Pimlet to get, like, a front kick KO up the middle. Tony Ferguson Chandler style, because Chandler does just leave his chin wide open the whole fight. You know? At the end of the day, both of these guys leave their chin open. One of them throws with more intent than the other, Chandler. But One of them's 38, and the other's 30 young. It hasn't been fucking dropped yet. Yeah, I'm going with Patty the Batty Lad. Moving on to the main event. Volkanovski versus Lopes. I'm gonna get this out of the way real quick. I just watched Bedtime MMA's fucking breakdown of this fight. God, that glaze was crazy. And if you haven't seen it, Jesus Christ, this guy was hands, knees, fucking one testicle in each fucking hand, getting right in there on Volk's fucking Johnson. Alright, but I get it. I respect it if you're a Volk fan and you're like coping your way into like Volk is the best featherweight on the planet still and all this other shit. But at the end of the day, Volk is 36 years old, going on 37. Not looking good. He's coming off 2 KOs. I get it. He's had a lot more time. And here's the thing, man. Everyone's like talking about this time thing. He got... So it's what? It's been a little over a year. But even then, man, like I get a 3-month turnaround after that head kick. But like Volk, he got clipped on the chin by Ilya and he got head kicked by Makhachev. But people who are being like, "Oh, you have to land flush on his chin." I don't think Diego's going to land flush on the chin. He landed flush on the chin for not Cedric Dumas. Sadiq Youssef knocked his ass out. Landed clean on Pat Sabatini, knocked his ass out. Landed clean on Brian Ortega, knocked his ass out, and then woke him up within a millisecond. He's got, genuinely, including Ilya at featherweight, Diego Lopes might have the fastest hands of featherweight in history. Genuinely, you know? And I know, like, his pad work is insane. If you haven't seen those clips, it's just, like, as a UFC fan, I was just ejaculating watching that shit, but Lopes might genuinely have the fastest hands in featherweight history. Could be UFC history. Flyweights are pretty fast, though. He also hits like a fucking truck. He's got a really sick tick. His little scar that he has on his Adam's apple. Nice little sick tick from Lopes. His face does look pretty derpy, to be fair. But he will always go for a finish. Like, this is a... I think I probably put it in my thumbnail, but this is literally like Volk is a gladiator who will take you to the distance every time. That is how it goes. I know he finished Yair. Yair fucking sucks, okay? I'm not rating Yair at all, okay? His best win is like Josh Emmett sub from Josh Emmett's low IQ, I guess. That's probably his best win, you know? He's also pillow-fisted, alright, just saying. But he finished Yair, but other than Yair, you know, Holloway 3 times, I get it. It's Holloway. What's his other title defenses? Wasn't it Ortega by decision as well? You know, he took Islam to decision. It was close, to be fair, and that was up a weight class, but, you know, that's 2 years ago, guys. Like, we're getting a little in history, you know? The Korean Zombie, the KO, sure, but, like, Korean Zombie's old, man, you know? 5-round decision with Ortega. You know, the Holloway fight. Like, Jose Aldo, it's Jose Aldo, I get it. Volk is a decision guy. He's not finishing Lopes unless Lopes gasses out in the 4th and 5th, which it is possible. I don't think it's going to happen, but it is possible. I truly do think Lopes is an assassin. He will be hunting for a finish. Bell to bell. He's either going to gas out or he is going to get a finish. That is how Lopes operates. He's done that in every single fight. He's fought like 5 times within 2 years. I know that doesn't sound crazy, but I think this might be his 6th, maybe. But that was like a loss and then a 5-fight win streak back to back to back to back. You know, I think, oh my God, was Sadiq Youssef, was that 300? Holy shit, bro, this guy's active. This guy's really, really active, you know? I do think he beats Evloev in the rematch. The only reason why Evloev takes 1 fight a year is because of Lopes tearing out his fucking knee, you know? In the rematch, Lopes isn't going to be like, okay, let me go for the knee bar. He's going to go, okay, I need a rear naked choke, you know? The arm bar transition he had on that one guy, I can't remember the name of. Sadiq Youssef. Jesus Christ, man. These fucking names sometimes. Sadiq Youssef getting KO'd. You know, when Edson couldn't get him out there. And I get Edson's old, but Edson's still dangerous, you know, when he wants to be. Not when he's fighting Lerone Murphy. You know, if you know, you know. But, like, Lopes is finishing guys. He is expected to finish. And I think this is, like, 1-to-1. This is, like, what Lopes does, you know? And the problem with Volk in his late years, I respect the grit. I respect that he's grindy. I respect that he's, like, a nugget of a man. And he will take you to decision. But he does get hit, you know? And I know fucking Bedtime MMA is looking at striking differentials. Come on, brother. Really? We're doing that now? What are we, casual? But Lopes is dangerous for those 5 minutes every round. He will try to hunt for a submission if it at all goes to the ground. I don't think Volk is going to be shooting takedowns because I think Lopes will be very active in terms of getting to his feet. I'm not worried about him accepting bottom like Yair. And his hand speed is just so fast. His combos are so fucking good. And if we're talking about like if Lopes just wants to scrap, he'll scrap. Like, he'll stay in the pocket and he'll fucking throw bombs for those 5 minutes around. You know? Volk can't do that. He just can't. You know? I know he's like a marauder and a gladiator, right? He'll get in there, he'll throw, you know, but he'll back away, he'll get space, you know? He'll throw those tappy leg kicks on a guy like Ilya. But even in his recent fights, even in Yair's fight, he's not doing a lot of damage with the strikes he's landing. Like, he's landing a lot of safe strikes to land and then get out, you know? Land and then get out. You're going to be doing that for 25 minutes with Diego Lopes. At some point, Lopes is going to get him to the fence. And I think it's going to be very similar to the Ilya fight, where Lopes just lands that one shot and it just puts Volk out cold. I know he's coming off a better layoff. And I think it will be like, okay, Volk's got his aura a little bit after round one. It's going to be very similar to the Ilya fight, I think. Where it's going to be like, okay, Volk is looking like, you know, maybe he lost round one, but he's looking like, okay, you know, he's taking shots well. I think in round two, that first minute, Lopes is just going to go in for the kill, and he's going to fucking find that kill shot, you know? So I'm thinking round one's going to be close. I don't think Volk is going to be able to survive more than 3 rounds, but if he can survive those 3 rounds, he will pick up, you know, in the 4th and 5th. He's a fighter who grows into the fights, you know? If he wins round 1, it's going to be rough for his opponent, right? I don't think he's going to be able to, like, win a round on a guy like Lopes. He's just too fast, too explosive, young and hungry. This guy's 20, okay, well, he was 29 last time I checked, but he's 30 now, trains kids at gyms, got a reach, he's got that heavy height advantage, and I know Volk does good against taller opponents, but the blueprint for beating Volk has been laid out 3 times via the decision and the 2 KO losses recently. All he needs to do is not Yair and stink up the place, and he wins the fight. That's really how this fight goes. You know, like 3 years ago, maybe Volk. Maybe I'd be picking Volk, right? But especially because he trains with Adesanya. Adesanya's down full. Like, his aura's gone, man. It is. You know, it just is. And the problem with Volk isn't just he's the smaller fighter. It isn't just the layoff. It isn't just he's coming off 2 KO losses. The style at which Volk fights, he still backs up with his chin wide open. That's why he got chinned. It wasn't like oh my god, Ilya landed the perfect shot and it was just like perfectly fluke timed or whatever. The whole fight, Volk is backing up with his chin way up in the fucking air. Why, brother? Everyone at that gym does it. Dan Hooker's been caught with his chin up there by Michael Chandler, and he still does it to this day. Adesanya got caught by Amavov by doing the exact same thing, trying to aura farm and then getting fucking chinned, you know? Even Olberg does. Everyone at that gym still showcases they just back up with their chin way up in the air. Lopes is, he's fast, man. He's gonna find that chin. I think Volk gets slept in round 2. Honest take, I respect the Volk fans trying to, you know, this is the last hoorah. But are we really looking at a 38-year-old, 37-year-old Volkanovski running featherweight? I don't think so. I really don't. You know, Lopes is the younger fighter. There's also that statistic that I don't think is being brought up during this fight, but it's the same thing with the Ilya fight, that the younger fighter has only lost like 3 times in the past in like UFC's entirety below a certain division, and like 2 of them were like, I want to say Woodley, and maybe one of them was Volk. I can't remember. It's some weird statistic like that. But I think if you're on the stats side, you're on the Lopes side. If you're on who's more likely to finish a fight in 25 minutes, it's Lopes. Who's more likely to reign longer as a champion? It's Lopes. You know? At this point in the careers. You know? Who's not Ilya Topuria sloppy seconds? You know? Alexander Volkanovski, kind of just sloppy seconds at this point, but I do think he is still going to be a gritty dude. Like, if this was Evloev, it'd be different. I'd be like, Volkanovski 100%, Evloev fucking sucks. Volkanovski's going to fucking sleep Evloev. Maybe not sleep him, but he'd be able to outwork Evloev. That's what I'd think. You know, and even the Josh Emmett fight, that looks real good right now, even though I know, you know, we don't want to see Volkanovski knocked out, but I think we can all agree Josh Emmett doesn't have the same pop he had in that Bryce Mitchell fight. Maybe a little bit racially motivated. Who knows? Maybe you could see the future about what Bryce Mitchell was about to talk about, but who knows? Yeah, I just think Lopes got it everywhere, you know? And, man, watching that bedtime glaze fucking 15 minutes of just pure Volkanovski glazing was crazy. Like, I respect it, okay? I respect it. You know, Volkanovski definitely isn't out of this fight. It's possible he wins a decision. It's not possible he finishes Lopes unless Lopes gasses, not able to finish Volk. But then that would imply he couldn't finish Volk. You know? And I know some people will probably defend Volkanovski because of the Brian Ortega performance that Lopes has. You got to keep in mind, man. Lopes went in thinking he was going to try to submit Brian Ortega. You can tell after round 1, that's all he was trying to do, submit Brian Ortega. And that's the only reason why it even went the distance. Dan Ige fight, he made weight like 4 times within 24 hours. Completely different story. Still beat Dan Ige, clearly. 2-1. Dan Ige's, like, unfinishable. And I think Diego Lopes proved that he's unfinishable. With the shots he was landing. It was absolutely insane. But yeah, with the Brian Ortega situation, he literally, if he wanted to knock out Ortega, he could have done it every round. He did it in round 1 and then woke him up. By mistake. You know? That doesn't happen. You know? So I think this will be Lopes trying to find that kill shot in round 1. Volkanovski up on numbers. And, you know, maybe he takes 1 or 2 shots good pretty well. Right? But I think we're going to see like a Bobby Green Huffy moment. Where like Volk's going to get hit by 1 shot. Maybe even in the first. And it's going to be like ooh, did not take that very well. I'm really worried for the next fucking 24 minutes of this fight. You know what I mean? I think Lopes is going to almost Brian Ortega's way into this and accidentally knock out Volkanovski via overhand right. That's my prediction. I'm worried about Volk, man. You know, I'll be rooting for Volk. I do like Volk. It's not like I hate Volk. It's not like I think he's a bum or whatever. I just think Lopes is him, alright? So if he gets fraud checked, I'm gonna be pissed off, alright? But, yeah, I just respect Lopes a lot. I think he's improved. I think he's always trying to improve. I think he's always got a game plan for his opponents. And he's always trying to go for a fucking finish. I respect the fuck out of that. You know? So, I'm going Lopes. Lopes by finish. Round 2 KO. That is my pick and predictions for UFC 314. It's been a long one. I want to thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video. And, yeah. Yeah. I don't really have an outro. Yeah, I guess thank you for watching my video. Jawline check. And I hope you have a good day.